The crimson sands of Xerion Prime stretched endlessly beneath twin purple suns, their harsh light casting jagged shadows across the alien landscape. Nora's sleek, silver-scaled form lay crumpled against a crystalline rock formation, her breathing shallow and labored. The elite Zephyrian Huntress had tracked the venomous Krex beast for 3 solar cycles, only to fall victim to its toxic barbs in the final moments of her hunt. Alexander wiped sweat from his brow as he crested the ridge, his human-issued environmental suit beeping warnings about the planet's hostile atmosphere. The xenobiologist had been collecting samples in the northern wastelands when he spotted the collapsed figure in the distance. His enhanced visor immediately identified her species, Zephyrian, one of the galaxy's most feared warrior races. Holy hell, he muttered, rushing toward her prone form. Nora's large amber eyes tracked his movement with predatory instinct, despite her weakened state. Her forearms twitched, reaching for weapons that had scattered across the sand during her collapse. The distinctive blue-black veins spreading from puncture wounds on her lower torso told Alexander everything he needed to know about her condition. "Easy there," Alexander said, raising his hands peacefully as he approached. "I'm not here to fight. You're poisoned, aren't you?" The Huntress attempted to speak, but only a weak hiss escaped her throat. Her species' vocal cords produced sounds far beyond human hearing range. But Alexander's universal translator caught the gist of her words. "Stay back, human." Alexander knelt beside her, ignoring the warning. He'd studied Zephyrian physiology during his xenobiology training, and the spreading toxin patterns were unmistakable. Krex venom, he diagnosed, pulling out his scanner. "The readings show it's already reached your secondary circulatory system. You've got maybe 20 minutes before it hits your neural cortex." Nora's eyes widened in surprise. Few beings outside her species understood Zephyrian anatomy, let alone could recognize the symptoms of Krex poisoning. She tried to push herself upright, but her strength was failing rapidly. "Your medical kit," Alexander said, searching around her gear. "Where is it?" "Destroyed," she managed to whisper through the translator. "In the fight." Alexander's mind raced. He knew the theoretical treatment for Krex venom: immediate extraction before the toxins could bind with the victim's cellular structure. But the process required specialized equipment, and they were hundreds of kilometers from the nearest outpost. "There might be another way," he said, more to himself than to her. Before Nora could react, Alexander had activated his suit's sterilization field and was removing his helmet. The thin atmosphere of Xerion Prime burned his lungs, but his emergency oxygen supply would keep him conscious for at least 30 minutes. "What are you doing?" Nora demanded, though her voice was growing weaker. "Something that's either going to save your life or get me killed by your people," Alexander replied, examining the puncture wounds. The venom sacs of the Krex left distinct marks, and he could see where the toxin was pooling beneath her silver scales. Without hesitation, he placed his mouth over the largest wound and began drawing out the poison. The venom burned his tongue and throat, but he spat it onto the sand and continued. Nora's entire body tensed in shock, not from pain but from the impossibility of what she was witnessing. No species in the galaxy would willingly consume Krex venom. It was lethal to most carbon-based life forms, causing cellular breakdown and neurological failure within minutes. Yet this human continued drawing out the toxin, his face contorting with each mouthful of poison. "Stop," she gasped. "You'll die." "Maybe," Alexander admitted between extractions, "but you definitely will if I don't try." He moved to the second wound, then the third, methodically drawing out as much venom as possible. His vision was beginning to blur from the toxin's effects, and he could taste blood in his mouth where the poison had started breaking down his own cellular tissue. After what felt like an eternity, Alexander collapsed beside her, breathing heavily. The blue-black veins on Nora's body had stopped spreading, and her breathing was becoming more regular. "Why?" she asked, staring at him with an expression he couldn't quite read. Alexander coughed, spitting out blood-tinged saliva. "Because you were dying and I could help." He managed a weak smile. "Besides, humans have a pretty good tolerance for toxins. We've been building up immunities for millennia." Nora slowly pushed herself into a sitting position, her strength returning as the remaining venom was processed by her body's natural defenses. She studied the human beside her, this small, fragile-looking being who had just risked his life for someone he'd never met. "My name is Nora," she said finally. "Huntress of the Third Talon, sworn protector of the Zephyrian reaches. Alexander, he replied, replacing his helmet as his oxygen levels dropped dangerously low. Xenobiologist, 3rd Human Expedition. I am in your debt, Alexander of the humans, Nora said, and the weight of those words carried significance beyond their simple meaning. In Zephyrian culture, life debts were sacred bonds that lasted generations. Just doing what anyone would do, Alexander said, though they both knew that wasn't true. Nora gathered her scattered weapons, her movement still careful but gaining strength. She activated her emergency beacon, calling for extraction from her hunting vessel in orbit. As they waited, she studied the human who had saved her life. Your species continues to surprise the galaxy, she said. We thought we understood humans after the Coalition Wars. Brave fighters, clever tacticians. But this what? This compassion without calculation. This willingness to suffer for strangers. Her amber eyes fixed on his with new respect. Perhaps we underestimated what makes humans truly dangerous. Alexander chuckled despite his discomfort. Dangerous? Any species capable of such selflessness is a threat to those who rule through fear, Nora explained. Today, you've shown me why the galaxy whispers about humanity in the dark corners of space stations. It's not your weapons or your ships they fear, it's your refusal to let others suffer when you can. Prevent it. The distinctive hum of Zephyrian engines filled the air as her extraction ship descended through the purple sky. As the rescue team approached, Nora placed one of her 4 hands on Alexander's shoulder. The debt I owe you extends beyond my own life, she said solemnly. You have shown honor to the Zephyrian people. We will not forget. Alexander watched as she boarded her ship, still processing what had just happened. He'd saved a life today, not through advanced technology or superior firepower, but through simple human decency and a willingness to share in another being's pain. As the Zephyrian vessel disappeared into the alien sky, Alexander activated his own emergency beacon. He had samples to catalog and reports to file, but more importantly, he had a story to tell about the day a human and an alien huntress proved that compassion could transcend species barriers. In the vast darkness of space, word would spread of the human who drank poison to save an enemy's life, and the galaxy would once again wonder what other impossible things these strange beings from Earth might be capable of.